To create a test in Schoology, go to Add Materials and choose Add Test Quiz. Give your test or quiz a name, fill in a due date, and this is the date that will appear on the calendar on the right-hand side of the screen, and feel free to adjust the time to whatever makes sense for your course. You can put in the number of points here, although this can be modified later. And then if you're going to grade this, which you probably are, you'll need to put this into a category. I have a category called Tests. If you don't have one, you can simply Create New Category and put in the category. Then for grading, typically you're going to choose Numeric. If you would like to assign the test just to specific groups, you can do this by clicking on the Individually Assign button. You can hide the test here. You can make analytics available to students to see. It's off by default. And then this Comments Enabled is on by default. I recommend turning that off, otherwise students can comment within the test and other students can see those comments. And then once your test is created, you can come back in here and you can assign this test to other sections. When your settings are complete, click Create. You're now ready to add questions. Simply click the Add Question button and you can choose the type of question you wish to add. We'll choose multiple choice since that's one of the most common. In the top section, you will type your question. After you've written the question, then make sure you put your answers down in the choice options. If you need more options for answers, simply click the Add button and you will get another option. If you have extra ones, click Remove Blanks to remove them. And then you will need to choose the correct answer by checking the box to the right. If you'd like to see the rich text editor, simply click on the little pencil that highlights next to the item, and you can add images and other multimedia to your answers. Once your question and answer is complete, you can scroll down and choose some of your other choices. If you want to randomize the answers, check that box. That will scramble the ABCD order of your responses on each student's test. You can also allow partial credit, so if there was more than one correct answer, you would want to choose Allow Partial Credit. Then you can also choose to time the question, so the students would have a certain amount of time on that specific question. How many points do you want that to be worth? Put that in the box down here. The default is 10, but a lot of times teachers will just reset that to 1. And if you would like to align a learning standard to that, please click the Align Learning Objectives button, drill down, and find the standard you wish to apply to that question. You need to go all the way down until you get to the standards level, or the benchmark level, excuse me, and then click Add Learning Objectives. Now that has been attached to that question. If you wish to remove that learning objective, simply click the X next to it and that will be removed. And then click Create Question. You will see your test questions once they've been added. If you'd like to reorder them, click under Options and choose Reorder. This lets you grab the up and down arrow and simply drag and drop. Be sure to save your changes when you're finished with that. There's also an option under Options to add your questions to a test bank for use later with other tests. You can choose the gear to the right of the question to go back in and edit that, or individually add specific questions to the bank. You can delete that question from here as well. Under the Settings tab, you'll have some general test settings that you can choose. The instruction sections at the top allows you to provide instructions for the entire test. If you'd like those, you can put them there. The availability is defaulted to hide, so students can't get into your test until you're ready for them to. When you're ready to give the test, you would choose to change this to Available Now. You can also choose a range that it's available, either from now until a certain time, or from one point to another if you want to have a testing window for students to complete this on their own time. The time limit can be turned on, the default is off, and if you do, then you can choose how many minutes that student would have to complete the test once they begin the attempt. The attempt limit can be set from one time to unlimited. If you choose more than one attempt, notice you can choose highest score, last score, or average score to determine how that will be graded. By choosing multiple opportunities, you could make this a formative assessment or a learning activity rather than a summative assessment. You can randomize the order of the questions now. These are not the responses, but rather the questions in the test so that each student gets them scrambled in a different order. You can choose to put your own page breaks in or have one question per page, your choice. You can choose a Spanish keyboard if you choose for the testing situation. You can allow students to review the questions before they submit their test. It allows them to go back and check their answers. You can make the test resumable, so if they accidentally get booted out of the test, they can get back in and resume. It's probably a good idea to say yes on this, since you'll be closing the entire test off when the time is over anyway. This can prevent some problems with students getting booted out and not able to resume their test. And then do you want them to see their responses when they're done? Yes, they can see how they answered things, and yes, they can see it with the correct answers provided. That is up to you to determine. You can also hide point values when they see that. Down on the bottom, these printing options simply determine how long the blanks are for essay and short answer questions, if you would like to print them. And if you are going to print the test, that option is up here under the gear. You can go to Print Test. And if a student needs a printed copy, you can create it there. Save your changes, and now your test's ready to give to the students. Again, remember, when you're ready to administer the test, you need to turn this to Available Now so students can take that test. The other place to test availability is under the gear icon next to the item. Simply click Edit and make sure that it is visible to students when it is time to provide that test opportunity. If you have multiple sections of your course linked together, it'll look slightly different when you click on the gear icon and edit. You will need to choose Select Sections to customize, select All, and now you have a toggle for each of the sections. When it's time for fourth period to take the test, I'll make sure that one's on and none of the others. I'll save. After fourth period's over, I'll come in, turn fourth period off, turn fifth period on, and again save my changes. And I'll do that throughout the day until all the sections have taken the test. When the last section is complete, I'll turn off the last section and save my changes. Now students cannot get to my test when they're not supposed to.